it's like we got like generational repairing to do. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you in competition with me, you trying to get more views than me, you trying to get more, like, what are you trying to do? Because my goal is to die with more men in the fatherhood line than in the deadbeat line. Like, that's the goal. It's not to, you know what I'm saying? Like, get 1 million followers. If that's your goal, then we ain't on that.
Yo. There he is. There it is. I say his name and he enters.
I apologize for the tardiness. I was trying to get away from the kids for a second. How you doing?
All good, brother. Good, good, good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm going to say up front, we keep this as a safe, open space, so feel free to be as open. I know you're a pretty open and honest man. Be as open as you want. If you don't want to talk about some things, we don't have to talk about some things. But so I want to start off with that. But before we jump in, because I'm really excited to have this conversation with you, let me just kind of rewind, let the Black Love family who's joining us right now know you. Husband, father, creator, entrepreneur, Black Love Season 4 alum, After Love Season 1 alum. Man does it all. Oh, and an MC. I might have to ask you to spit before we drop today. Yeah, so all the things, and less than a week ago, you made a major announcement, but that one major announcement became multiple announcements in it. So there was a lot there, and well, firstly, I mean, it sounded cathartic almost, because I felt like you were, from a business standpoint, just gonna express like what was happening and how things were shifting a little, and then you shared a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about where we're at right now, it's very interesting, because we are like the whole, like, we're peeling back, or pulling the curtain on fatherhood, on the mentality of what a father, you know, be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have juggle and balance and a lot of stuff, and we know and we see it so much from mothers. You know what I'm saying? And I don't necessarily think that, you know, in the past that are as vulnerable and get to share like their transparent feelings and stuff. And so, you know, deciding to make that big decision that we made has definitely, you know, that changes a lot for business too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, we are sharing our lives, and that has become a business, which is kind of cringy even to say. You know what I mean? Mm. There's a lot to think about, and you know, decide. And I'm pretty like I juggle a lot and also think about a lot of stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very analytical. You know what I mean? And so I'm analyzing everything all the time. And when you grow up like kind of in that place where, you know, your parents or your parent is like, you know, kind of hard on you, you end up doing yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I'm extremely hard on myself, and I'm working on doing better with that for sure.
Yeah, well, I can I can relate to that. I had similar with my dad in my upbringing, so I definitely can relate there. And let me just, maybe if I wasn't clear enough, I think anybody watching, listening right now, they can check you out, Belief with an LEAF in Fatherhood on YouTube, to see what the announcement was about, or on his handle, Belief Mel, or, well, it's not on your .com, but check out the YouTube, check out the IG. But essentially, there were a few things dropped just about what you said right now. Just speaking about.
We can talk about it here. I'm okay.
Okay. All right, then let's dig in, because like I said, there's a few things I want to jump into. I mean, first off, you know, like you just said, that your business is your relationship. Your business is your family. It's you being a father, and a father of 4 at that, which is incredible to me. I'm a father of 1, and there are plenty of challenges with 1, so multiply that times 4. But yeah, with that, I feel like there is a lot to deal with. There is a lot to juggle. And, let's jump into point one. You also made the side announcement that you just had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Whew. I mean, for men, whew,
Yeah.
I heard that and I was like, oof. So what was that experience like?
I was very much pro vasectomy after the third child, you know,
Okay.
because I want to make sure that I have we have three other children, and I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm fostering the relationship well. It's a lot. It's hard to juggle. It's hard to have these conversations and make sure your children are understanding the things you're trying to teach them and all this stuff. And so, the more people you add into that equation, the harder it is to develop these relationships. Especially for me, I'm a small plate guy. So we made that announcement, but the whole process, it wasn't as pain. The healing part is painful, but
Okay.
like through the whole procedure, it was like nothing. Like they numb you up, you know what I'm saying? And it did feel like it didn't feel real, you know what I'm saying? And so
Sure.
like, my wife, when I made the announcement, like, hey babe, I want to get this done, she was against it because she
Hmm.
didn't have to mourn the fact that she would never, have a child in her womb, you know what I'm saying? And so
Sure.
that was something we kind of argue about for a while, but she needed that time to just like really consider like what we were about to step into. And so when we made the decision, I had already made the decision, booked the appointment. She was like, no, I'm not ready. And then we went back a year later, and then it was like, okay, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? After that 1-year-old starts biting, you know what she's like, yeah, I'm not, I'm over this. You know what I'm saying? So we went ahead and got it done. And I was glad that I waited because I was very much gung ho about it.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people and even grandparents and family were like, when are you guys going to have another kid? Or are you guys going to do that? You guys are such great parents. We love seeing you parent. And it's kind of like, this is not good for my health. You know what I mean? Like, it honestly, like, there's a lot of transitions that children make, the decisions they make, the things that they are understanding. And, you know, you have to take the time to care for each child in a very specific way.
Sure.
When you add, the more and more you add, the harder it gets. Yeah.
How did that, I mean, did that take a toll on you emotionally?
I think so. I think it did take a little bit of a toll. More on my wife though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
More on my wife. And honestly, like I've been like shoveling my feelings to the side for so long because there's work to get done. I think it's just starting to catch up with me like now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
where I'm just kind of like, wait a minute, like this is my last child. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard. That's super hard because they're only as that small for that one moment, and then it's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and so like some of the kids, man, they were so interesting as a baby. It's like I'm happy I recorded it all, but it's like, yo, like you just never get them back at that age, man, and that's something to really grieve and mourn about for sure.
And even after four children, even after having four, you still feel, and let me ask you this before we even go. Look, I know in the grand scheme, it's more of an emotional thing than a numbers game, right? So, on the facade, like what I'm asking you right now, I'm like, after four kids, what? I know emotionally, you could have 400, it doesn't matter. You're like, if I had 400, I'm not going to have 401. So just the possibility of is gone.
And yeah, I mean, ain't nobody have 400 kids, right? But I'm a real practical guy. You know what I'm saying? When you get in a minivan, there's only so many seats. You know,
Right. Right.
altering your life and getting bigger houses, and you know what I mean? And so, I have one of our children is less considerate than the others. So I have one child who is kind of like, yeah, man, I'm gonna leave my room a mess. And he's like, and the other one's like, I live too. I want to
Right.
clean. And so you can start to see like the burden of one child being loaded onto the other. And that is a sensitive thing, you know what I'm saying? And so there's only so many seats in a minivan. There's only so many rooms in a house. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I want our children to be able to like live independently and not feel like they have to always be living life with someone else. Because, like, when kids are like, they're alone, they do weird stuff. You know what I'm saying? They
Sure. Sure.
make themselves, and you know what I mean? And that is like a safe haven that I want them to keep having, And so you got to cut it off at one point.
Sure. Sure. And so you mentioned your wife, Yvette, and, that experience more so for her emotionally. I kind of want to segue slightly just into the fact that, you brought up you and your wife are currently in couples counseling, correct?
Yeah, a couples therapy. Yeah.
Couples therapy, excuse me. Sorry. Couples therapy. And how long has that been for?
Since June.
June. Okay. And so prior to this, had you ever gone down the route of therapy for yourself, or is this the first time you've experienced it?
I've always considered counsel an amazing thing. So it doesn't
Okay.
have like a full on like professional therapist, but having like older people to mentor you and help you out with some of the hard decisions, to come and referee when it's kind of like, hey, we're not speaking the same language. We both want the same thing, but we're saying it differently and we can't communicate to each other right now. Can you help us? Those
Sure.
are very valuable. Some people don't really see a point to that. I think it allows for a lot of community. Marriage is the most important unit, right, ever designed. And for you to join a fraternity or join a school or join this or that with all these different big brothers and big sisters and teachers and all these guides, and you don't have a guide for your marriage, I think it's pretty irresponsible potentially. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But we needed it. You know what I'm saying? And so when we stepped into it, it was a joint decision. And it still is a joint decision because I'm very vocal. So it's easy for me to explain myself, my feelings. I'll give you 3,000 analogies. My wife shuts down. So she'll just be thinking it and just be looking at me. And I'll still be talking. It's like this. It's like this. I'm a butterfly and you the cocoon and I feel, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, no, that's not it at all. You know what I mean?
Sure.
What therapy has allowed is given my wife sort of the space to just help someone, like kind of help me understand what she's trying to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And most of all, it's like, yeah, it's very valuable. And so we're in it right now and we're learning, and we just understand that, like, just because you love someone, that doesn't mean it's enough. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It takes work and like sacrifice and like biting your tongue. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're right, and just letting time and affection and service like heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's work, man. It's hard work.
And, again, even more so when you have a full size family, there's just those added dimensions. First with the wife, husband and wife, or whatever the union may be, but then you add children into the mix. And that just adds a whole other set of dimensions and personalities, because you have, 4 other personalities that come in and out of your life. So how has it been going? Do you feel like that has been pushing things along in the right direction? Do you think or at least giving you both that space, that maybe her more so, because you said you're very vocal, but as I've learned, vocal doesn't always equate to growth.
Okay.
Vocal doesn't always equate to healing. It's
Right.
just being vocal sometimes. So how has that helped you?
Therapy is going well. Um, I know we both have the same outcome, which is like us, like being together and being able to love each other and respect each other in a way that fosters our independence, but like manifests in our union.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so what happened was when I became like, you know, like this YouTuber creator, CEO, whatever, right? I'm kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. There's no one ahead of me. And
Right.
so I
Right.
need for a moment to like stop doing what you're doing and help me because I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Hmm.
just need something. And
Yeah.
she's, I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't like communicate well in that way, um, it created a lot of frustration with me. So I'm just kind of like, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And now when she's really trying to help me, I'm kind of like, I don't have time to explain it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Like there's so much going on. My wife is, she's also, Yvette is totally becoming, um, you know, an entrepreneur in her own right, and a creative on her own right, and you know, leading her own podcast, and you know, co-hosting and leading the How Married Are You podcast that we have, and doing brand deals and all types of stuff, and um, you know, running all our merch. Um, like she is an incredible force. And so I think my dependence on her as a wife and a mother was more important to me than her womanhood.
Hmm.
I could
Wow.
not, you know what I'm saying? Like I
Wow.
was, listen, your boy needs you. I need you.
Yeah.
And so on the opposite way, I'm, I grew up single mother, right? Single parent home, single mother, for most of the year. And so I was always in tune to the needs of my mother, at least trying not to get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And,
Sure.
um, I was always able to like see where Yvette needed me and needed help, and I would try to support her in that way. So as I was a stay-at-home father in the beginning of us having children, it was easy for me to suffer in silence because I was used to suffering in silence as a Yvette. She don't suffer in silence. She's kind of like, hey man, I ain't feeling this. Next week, you got a week. And so we've been learning to like, okay, let's talk about patience. Let's talk about our goal. Let's stick to the plan.
Mhm.
You know, we have to make a mission statement for our family, um, which was what we're working on right now. So
Oh, seriously? But an actual mission statement for you? Wow. That's that's deep. That's different. I haven't heard. That's unique. Deep,
yeah,
different, and unique. Yeah.
I, I've heard I've heard of this before, and
Yeah.
I've heard people say it, and I'm just kind of like, man, I ain't got no daggone mission statement. Leave me alone. You know,
Yeah.
extra. You know what I'm saying? But I think that there is truth to know, like, you know, when my one of the questions that really changed my life was when my wife asked me what my 5-year plan was, and I couldn't tell her. And basically, she expressed to me that I have, you know, I'm supposed to be caring for her and her children and her future, and I don't have 5 years planned out. Like how she's supposed to follow me with that? And so I was challenged by her to figure out what I was going to do for the next 5 years, and I figured out what I was going to do for the next 25. You know what I mean? And so um, I got the ball rolling, and so now whenever she asks me, I can say, "Here, this is where we're going. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it." The mission statement tells you who you are, right? A mission statement for a business tells
Hmm.
you who you are, what problem you're solving, and you know what people you're serving. You know what I'm saying? Like why you
Right.
exist. And so our family exists in a very important and a necessary way. The type of way people engage with our content is like, yo, I haven't talked to my dad in 8 years, but your video made me want to give him a call. Thank you. And you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
didn't be a dad until I saw this. Thank you. I didn't know that marriage took this much work. But because I'm watching you guys, I feel like more realistic in walking into marriage. Thank you. And so we know that we have a valuable resource as a family. Now that doesn't mean that that's all we do. You know what I'm saying? It's like expose ourselves for other people. But
Sure. Sure.
point and a method to what we do that is ingrained into our family DNA that should be stated on a wall somewhere for everyone to see. So that when something comes up and it's an amazing opportunity to be on the blank blank show, and we say that is not in line with our mission, we don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or hey, go to this place or that place and do this, you know, and even though the money may be right or the opportunity may be right, it may not be a part of our family mission, you know, and so kind of where we're at.
I'm a fan of that. I think think I'm gonna start investigating that for myself.
For sure. Now I don't have any examples yet, but as soon as I get some, we'll probably talk about it on our podcast at some point.
Okay, we'll look for it. I mean, me in particular, but as Black Love fam, we're definitely gonna tune in for that one.
I'm with it.
Good. Because now Yvette's holding you to it, I'm holding you to it, and the Black Love fam's holding you to it.
Yeah. Well, check this out. My future's holding me to it. You know what I'm saying? Like where we're going. If we don't have a mission, then we will fall apart. Not relationally, but I feel like there are going to be things that come up that look enticing, and it's going to distract us if we don't have a mission. You know what I'm saying? Mission is super important.
Yeah, I think for self, absolutely. I mean, for family also, apparently, but when it comes to self, that's where it starts anyway, right? You have to, what you've been alluding to a lot of is not getting to self, not getting to that point of self-love, and whether it's self-actualization, self-realizations, etc., self hyphen fill in the blank, getting to that point. So yeah, so I'm totally with you regarding missions for self. That this brings me up to two things additionally that you brought up. Like I said, you put a lot in that 10 minutes or 11 minutes that was on your YouTube post. You brought up imposter syndrome. So I think, speaking of the mission statement, speaking of knowing self, speaking of self-love, and then you have this thing that I think more and more people, I've been susceptible to it as well. I go in and out of this thing, but you were very honest about your experience with imposter syndrome. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Like I have I guess you could say I haven't missed, besides like I haven't missed in about 6 years. Like I haven't missed. Everything that I wanted to, everything I said I was going to do, I did it. You know what I mean? And the thing was, the plan was 15 years. I was supposed to write a book. I was supposed to, do a TED talk. I was supposed to, like, in 15 years, and it happened in like 3, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I would probably never say that. Like, if we're not talking about imposter syndrome, like I wouldn't say that. That wouldn't be a part of my, like, pumping myself up. I don't necessarily believe that I'm doing a good job as a father a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so I know that might, like, man, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just like the person who's like, in super shape, and they're just like, man, I just got to lose this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, bro, you look at me, you know what I mean? And it's like, nah, I just got to do this. And, I feel like, maybe I should have more money in the bank, or maybe I shouldn't have invested in this time or whatever. Like, I always pick out my flaws, and my wins are just kind of like, yeah. But I got lucky, or I blame it on somebody else. Like, on just being at the right place in the right time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was a part of the writing session for like a song that's about to go gold right now. You know what I'm saying? And so I just happened, I was invited there. I did do my thing, but at the same time, I don't take credit for it at all. You know what I'm saying? And so there's just something, it's like missing. And so what I've been working on, my personal therapist, I've been working on making sure that my language is changing about myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I can't get to that point where I'm kind of like, that's why I name myself Belief, because normally I don't believe in myself. So when people call my name, it's a reminder for me.
Huh. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So like that is like, it's so deep, man. Like like, it's good. Like, whenever the movie comes out, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be super interesting, because I have a hard time like pushing forward and all that stuff. And I'm not even in competition with anyone. Like, I hear guys, like, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna catch up to you. And I'm like, like, I do this out of like, this is a charge that God has given me. Like, this isn't something I'm doing because I'm trying to win. Like, this is like, like, fathers right. They're not expected to do much. The bar is low. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
like how people perceive fathers. It's like we got like generational repairing to do. You know what I'm saying? So like if you in competition with me, you trying to get more views than me, you trying to get more, like, what are you trying to do? Because my goal is to die with more men in the fatherhood line than in the deadbeat line. Like that's the goal. It's not to, you know what I'm saying? Like get 1 million followers. If that's your goal,
Yeah.
then we ain't on that, you know?
Yeah.
So even still, I have to set better goals for myself because I need to be able to celebrate the win, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's something, I want to say Kariga on a previous episode, he mentioned celebrating those small wins,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know? Um,
it's amazing. I think he's in here, but that brother is incredible. And I definitely need to spend more time with him on the phone to just know how to do that because I literally just keep going.
yeah. Yeah. And I look, I think a lot of men struggle with that. I think there's something, there are, to your point, you said generational. I think there's something to these traditional male archetypes of, to your point, fatherhood, we don't have to do much. You know, you show up, throw a ball, good job, kid, good job, kids, move about your business and
Yeah.
go do your thing at work, and then try to build and build and hustle and push and push and push. There's no emotion. there's no what's the word? Just looking back to your point where you're not celebrating these wins. You're not looking back on any accomplishments that you did. You don't have any hindsight on what you did. It's like, I got to keep moving. I got to keep pushing forward. I got to stay strong. I got to be the man. I got to be the, whether it's, depending on your beliefs, it's the breadwinner, or whether I have to be the man, and man up. I feel like right now, what we're discussing, that's the new man up. That's the, let's take a second. Let's go inside. Let's feel. Let's understand how we're feeling. Let's express those feelings. And to the point of the wins, I think the wins are important because that's where you get to feel. That's almost kind of a self-check, time and time again, where it's like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
You did that. You know what I mean? You could look in the mirror and say, he did that. You did
Yeah.
that.
I gotta throw some more sauce on everything I do. And like I have to start like flattering myself. Like I don't do it enough. But I'm realizing like, man, I got 3 boys. If I don't start doing it, they're not gonna catch on. Like they're gonna start to pick up these low moments I have, or like this struggle with depression, or like they're gonna pick up that more, And so
Sure.
I know that this has to change like immediately. And so that's why I'm in therapy, in couples therapy, you know what I'm saying too. And so I think what needs to change now is that and I think this past year has been tough just because it's been, you know what I mean? Like COVID is really out some of the strongest people, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I think that I need more community that is of higher thought. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's really it. That's really what I think I need.
And I think, and to that point, I think, I always try to look for the silver lining, the positivity. I try to remain like this eternal optimist. So I always try to look for it. And in this past year, what you just touched upon, my hope, actually, I really hope a lot of people like yourself have started to tune into that. Oh, I need more of this and less of that. I need more of that self-realization, that self-development, that self-confidence, and knowledge of self. If we take it to the Wu-Tang, just knowledge of self,
Yeah.
or Talib Kweli, knowledge of self-determination. So,
Right.
so it's those things, and that's the silver lining. Through these tough situations, through these challenges, you would hope you learn from it so that you can make these realizations, as opposed to the woe is me. As difficult as it's been a lot more difficult for some than others. I am not discrediting anybody's situation in this. But if you are fortunate, like we are right now, to have this conversation excuse me, conversation among a community, to be able to express ourselves this way, to be able to have this dialogue and impact ourselves and others, then I think there's something to be said about let's take advantage and see it through, to be able to move forward. Because again, at the end of the day, it starts with us to be able to impact others and to help, you know, uplift others, whether it's family, friends, create a community, like you said. And I think there is something to community. One question I tend to ask, I think every guest on this is, do you ever do male check-ins? Do you ever check in with other male friends or family, etc.? Just because.
Yeah. One thing I want to say before we move there.
Sure.
I saw this post, man, and I don't know anything about Diddy or nothing like that, but I saw the post, and it was like, he was like, man, every Friday I get myself balloons, and he had like this balloon sculpture like sitting in his like his foyer or whatever.
Yeah.
Balloons make me smile, and I get myself balloons every Friday, and the balloons was fire. Like I ain't never seen, but
Oh,
like
it's Diddy. Yeah.
I think those little things are important. You know what I'm saying? Like I think those little things are important. So yes. As far as male check-ins, I'm sorry, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say to that point, I look, men, everyone listening, men, women, everybody, give yourself a balloon like Diddy, or give yourself, I'm trying to recall, Jay Barnett. Yes, every Sunday, King Jay Barnett. Are you familiar with him? Look up that brother. He's great. He was on the first episode of this. He gives himself flowers. He buys himself flowers every Sunday.
Yeah.
As a point of self-love, and what Diddy does on a Friday,
Yeah.
giving himself balloons. I think these things, you know, at times they may sound silly or ridiculous or whatever. Giving myself a balloon on a Friday. No, it's dope. It's it really does something.
Yeah.
It really does something.
It does. And I want that for myself for sure. Like getting myself some roses, I think I might just hit myself up with a dozen. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with it, yeah.
Like I deserve that. Yeah, as far as male check-ins, I got a couple real solid dudes that don't miss. You know what I'm saying? The person that I talk to most frequently, who is like on me and I'm on him, is Kier, right? So Kier Gaines. So we check in about once a week, you know what I'm saying? And it's nothing but like, I'm from Baltimore, he's from DC, so it's nothing but that type of vernacular. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Back and forth with it. And there's I have like a group of like maybe like 7 guys that, you know, we used to do like a study together every week. But busyness kind of took away from that. The brother Correga has hit me up a couple times. The homie Roscoe, who's in here, hit me up a couple times. RJ, a couple people I work for me. I'm sorry. But yeah, not as much as I need it. Like I need someone to get on my nerves, and I'm not. Let me take that back. I'm not asking y'all, right? Because I know somebody in here like, yo, you said get on your nerves. Don't do that. But like, I do need that kind of like, hey man, what are you gonna do with this? What are you gonna do about this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that. You know what I mean? And I gotta find that person. But the influencer world, like when you get in, it's weird, man. Because like nobody understands, but the other influencers, they get it. Because a brand will hit you up, like, hey, we need this by tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And everything stops. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, you know, that's not on my agenda today. You know what I mean? And so you can lose the deal or whatever. And it's possible, and sometimes it's not worth it. But, you know, as someone who creates content, and it wouldn't be that difficult for you to do it, sometimes you got to work. That's kind of, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't even advise this to people who are listening or following. But I do think I would say that the influencer life is a little bit different. And so I would prefer someone who understands, you know, what we do.
Well, I think regardless, you know, the check-in is important. So I'm going to say, get on this man's nerves until he tells you to stop.
You heard it first. You heard it here.
um, to that point, another a wellness question for you. Because I think, always when people share, but men in particular, black men even more so, when we share these certain things to help each other and help benefit. And that's why I said get on your nerves, because you want it, but you don't want it because you really want it and you know it's going to help you. So the other thing is this morning routine. So I just ask for general routines, because some people are night people, some people are morning people, some people are morning people and hate being morning people, like myself. But I feel like those routines help to ground you. Those routines help to set you up in a certain, whether it's spiritual, emotional, physical, all of the above is ideal. But are there any type of routines that you feel you either do now or looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to front you and act like that's something that I'm doing on a consistent basis.
Sure.
You know, I have good mornings and bad mornings. You know what I mean? Um, what's happening with me sometimes is that I'm waking up with the dust on me from yesterday. Not saying I haven't showered, but like, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, wait a minute, where am I at? What am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And so, of course, you give thanks for being alive. You know what I'm saying? And then it's back on that bicycle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, uh, I'm more of a night person. You know what I mean? And so, um, I think one of the best things I do is kind of like checking with the kids. You know what I mean? There's a little like ritual we do before we leave the house, but it's like I want to create more of those because I'm a guy that's full of routine. Like I'm
Yeah.
very best in routine, but my life is so inconsistent in as far as work schedule and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we had a shoot Friday. We're about to launch merch. We got to shoot tonight. We have a shoot in 2 hours, and we have another shoot tomorrow night. All to like support this merch. But that doesn't mean, so we got this other stuff going on. But like, man, I really do need to set that type of stuff up. And I wish that I could tell you, that like, yeah, man, I do is the same 5 things every day. But I'm just realistically, I'm not there yet. And I would not lie to you, you know what I'm saying, in front and act like I am. So, you're not going to get that from me this time, but hopefully next time we circle back around, I'm a little bit more consistent with my decisions and with my, those points of contact, checking with myself. For a while, I was doing breath work, which is it's a meditation through breathing,
Yeah.
um, extremely helpful. And I found some of my best days were there because like it lifts everything. It can change your mood. It can change everything about your mental. Um, and it's really dope form of meditation, but I haven't been consistent doing that.
Sure. Sure. Well, I appreciate, again, honesty over everything. I'd
Yeah.
rather and appreciate this over you just giving me a blanket statement or something someone else has said because it sounds good. And I know you're not that, brother. So I'm glad you're, upfront. And I'm also glad, again, when we have that next conversation, we're going to do a check-in.
But now, because y'all finna light me up, man. So
Yeah. No, good, good. Yeah, I don't want to put too much on your plate with the list, but yeah, I think there's something to it. I mean, you even spoke to it right now, whether it's breath work, whether it's meditation. I mean, breath work is um, it's a different form of meditation. There are a lot of different forms of that. Um, the one last thing I wanted to touch on, and I'll ask it. You tell me if you want to answer it or not. But it's one sentence you said in that video, and I just said, "Damn!" And based on how this conversation's going, I feel like you may have spoken to it, whether it was in you know uh, therapy or not. But you said something about whew, it's heavy. You said something about
wanting to check.
blink. Yeah, you said something about blinking and like wanting to wake up on the other side sometimes.
Yeah.
And I said, damn. And, you know, again, this, like I said, at the top of this was some type of catharsis because you were letting a lot of things out. And I said, you know, this is a lot of transparency and this is a lot of honesty from you. But that one sentence in particular, I felt that was kind of heavy. And I personally, just man to man, no pun intended, I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, how are you feeling as I say that sentence to you? Do you feel any different? Does that thought come and go still?
Yeah, man, you know, like, I wish I could tell you that it doesn't. Like, I still don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Sure, sure.
it was a very, like, raw moment because I just was like, let me just turn on the camera because I have to tell somebody, and I had no one to talk to at the moment. And so I spoke, and that's what came out. And it was like, it started out like I wasn't crying. I had no intention on crying, but I just kept talking. And
Yeah.
the more I spoke, the more I revealed to myself how I was feeling. And so I remember like being in middle school and like being so like I like missing the bus and having to walk to school, right? And so I wasn't really into hip hop. I was in the rap heavy, so I was like listening to Master P, saying like No Limit, like in Baltimore. So I'm walking and I see this tape on the floor, and I had my Walkman, so it's tape that, you know what I'm saying? So I look down, I see this tape. It's a single. I pick it up, dust it off, and I put it into my Walkman. I take out Silk the Shocker, and I put, you know what I'm saying? And the tape starts like this. Just think, what if you could just blink yourself away, right? And those know that's Black Thought from the Roots.
Yep.
And that, like, I felt that so much. Like, what if you could just blink yourself away? Because it was like the problems keep coming and you are supposed to solve them, but the speed that you can solve them, the problems are piling up.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like sometimes I feel like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna front like I'm good and everything's perfect. Like, nah, like sometimes it's heavy, you know?
Yeah.
I am figuring it out, and I'm realizing that I can lean on other people. People are proving to me that they can help me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a big person, you know what I'm saying? Growing up, like, you know, being hit a lot, I don't want to be a burden to other people. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to work through all these issues. Like, I'm trying to reconcile my past, like, be present, and prepare for my future, like right now. You know what I'm saying? And right now is just a busy time. You know what I mean? Especially in the stage of manhood, because like I'm a father, our children, you know, range in age, they're at a very high need right now, and they're even going to be more high need as they go to, you know, middle school and get a little bit older and stuff like that. It's going to get more, but right, business is so precious that I really do have to have a full mind on that. And, you know, trying to be a better husband, trying to meet the needs of my wife. And then there's like external relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just aware of how I'm feeling. And sometimes I'm just like sometimes I'll stay up late because I'm not ready for tomorrow. But just because I know if I go to sleep, tomorrow will happen faster. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I struggle a lot with that. I struggle a lot with all of that, you know? And so right now it's at the height of that. So I probably would say dealing with it a little bit more now, you know, than usual. But I hope, and I'm doing, and I think I'm doing everything I need to be doing in order to be better. It's not there yet, and that is totally okay.
You know, that's more than okay. Again, to that, I mean, give yourself some grace. I think through this whole conversation, I feel like that's the theme. Especially for you, especially somebody who's always up here, who's trying, like you said, who's, you know, you're trying to create the future. You're trying to resolve all, I mean, I think for some of us more than others, there's a lot behind us that we're trying to reconcile with and move on with. So we don't carry that baggage. And then there's the present moment. And you got to deal with what's before you. That's what you're always and forever going to deal with. You know, we can project the future. We can try to project the future, but you're always in the present moment. That's never not going to change. So,
And I think what's important too is just being like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm not,
yeah,
like learning to,
yeah,
oh, I'm not doing that. And that's really when I lately is kind of like, I do not want to go to that. I don't want to go to that party. I don't care if the baby turned 4. I don't want to.
yeah,
I love the baby. I don't feel like being around those. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay
yeah,
for you to say no, and it's a lot.
yes.
And I want that. I want that freedom to be able to do that, and I'm gaining that for sure.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And again, thank you for sharing with that. I hope I didn't pry too much. You did share with everybody, but
This is me all day, every day, man. This is me all
okay,
day. So you got it.
okay. No, I appreciate it, brother. Trying to be sensitive to the time here. This has been an amazing conversation. Obviously, your Black Love family. Obviously, I'm going to come and do a check-in because I need to see what's going on. I need to make sure the progress is progressing. And it's also for me. I think for me, I think for everybody listening, I hope for everybody listening that, it's put a lot of these thoughts because again, you're not unique. You're unique in who you are and your approach, but some of these situations are not unique.
No, and the thing is, I am at least proud that I can say it, because there are men who are dealing with the exact. Forget men. There are people dealing with
Yeah.
the same,
Yeah.
minus a spouse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For
Right.
no partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no family. Spouses in jail, like dealing with all types, terminal illness, and like it's so much, but people can't even say it. And so, like, if you're overwhelmed, like I feel you, like I get it, but I'm not gonna pretend to be okay for the show.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Yes.
If I'm feeling it, you gonna feel it. Like sometimes, like if my child throw up and I'll throw the camera, like boom, ew, that's gross. And people are like, you gotta warn us before you show us that. And I'm like, I wasn't warned. Like,
Right.
I
Right.
just felt it. So I gotta deal with it. You get to see it just like I saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the best thing I can do for you, even though it's not entertaining, is to be honest, and that's all I could do.
No, and that's all I wanted, and that's all I could ask for. And I hope, like I said, what you do with your business, I hope this conversation is doing the same for those who have checked in and will take heed to it, because I think your honesty and level of vulnerability is huge. Please keep doing that, as long as it's safe for you and as long as it's a safe space for you to do so. And like I said, I love this. I appreciate this. We're going to follow up. I want to check in, and we'll leave it at that. I was going to ask you to spit bars, but I think you spit a lot over the course of these 45 minutes.
I dropped some gems for sure.
Yeah.
If you send me a number and I'll send you something that's unreleased, though, you could bump.
Okay. I'm with it. I'm with it. All right, brother. I appreciate you.
Peace.
All right.